The slap echoed across the luxury restaurant like a gunshot. Every violin stopped. Every rich guest turned. Naya Okafor, the only black waitress on the VIP floor, stood frozen with red wine dripping down her white shirt and her cheek burning from the hand of Han Soo-rin, Seoul's most untouchable heiress. "Kneel," Soo-rin hissed. "A girl like you should apologize from the floor." Naya's eyes filled with pain, but she did not bend. Then the private elevator opened. Kwon Jae-hyun stepped out in a black suit, his face colder than death, his Mafia guards behind him. He looked at Naya's swollen cheek. Then he looked at Soo-rin. "Kneel," he said. Soo-rin smiled, thinking he meant the waitress. But Jae-hyun's voice dropped. "Not her. You. If you love emotional Afro-Korean love stories filled with forbidden romance, revenge, betrayal, rich family drama, Korean mafia power, and a strong black woman who refuses to be broken, subscribe now, like this video, and comment. Naya deserves justice. Because by the end of this story, the woman who slapped a waitress will beg on her knees, and the man who made her kneel will risk his entire empire for the woman he was never supposed to love. 3 months before that night, Naya Okafor was closing the back door of Moon Pavilion at 1:43 in the morning when she heard a man groan behind the trash bins. She stopped, one hand still on the metal door. Gangnam looked beautiful from the front of the restaurant, all glass towers, expensive cars, and women who smelled like designer perfume. But behind Moon Pavilion, the alley was narrow, wet, and dirty, where luxury came to throw away what it did not want people to see. Another groan came. Naya tightened her grip on her keys. "Who's there?" No answer. She should have gone inside. She should have called security. She should have remembered that a woman working late in Seoul, alone in an alley, did not survive by being curious. But the sound came again, weaker this time. She took 3 careful steps around the trash bins and saw a man in a black suit collapsed against the wall, blood spreading beneath his ribs. For 1 second, she forgot how to breathe. He was Korean, maybe mid-30s, tall even while half-folded in pain, with black hair fallen across his forehead and a face too handsome for the violence around him. Sharp jaw, pale skin, long lashes, a mouth pressed tight against pain. His white shirt was soaked red under his expensive suit jacket. His eyes opened. Dark, fierce, dangerous. "Leave," he whispered in Korean. Naya looked at the blood. "You are bleeding." His fingers twitched toward the inside of his jacket. "I said leave. You can threaten me when you are not dying beside my workplace." His eyes narrowed, as if he had not expected her Korean to be that good. "You are not from here. And you are bleeding in an alley. We both have obvious problems." A faint sound almost escaped him. It might have been a laugh if he had not been dying. Then headlights swept across the alley entrance. The man's expression changed instantly. Naya heard tires. More than one car. Doors opening. Men's voices. The wounded man grabbed her wrist with surprising strength. "If they find you with me, you are already dead." Fear moved through her body like cold water. But fear had never been enough to make Naya abandon someone bleeding. She looked around quickly, then pulled him toward the back storage door. He hissed in pain. "What are you doing?" "Saving your arrogant life." He was too weak to fight her. She dragged him through the storage entrance just as 3 men entered the alley. She shut the door softly and pulled a metal shelf in front of it. The restaurant kitchen was dark except for the emergency lights. "Can you walk?" she whispered. "No." "Then crawl, rich man." His eyes flashed. "You have no idea who you are talking to." "Good. Keep it that way." She helped him into the staff changing room and locked the door. His breathing was shallow, his hand pressed to his side. Naya had once studied nursing before her father died and money disappeared from her life like smoke. She knew enough to understand the wound was bad but not hopeless. She tore open the first aid kit. "Gunshot?" she asked. "Knife." "Liar." His mouth tightened. She cut open his shirt without waiting for permission. A tattoo moved across the left side of his chest, black ink shaped like a tiger tearing through smoke. Not a decorative tattoo. A symbol. A warning. Naya looked at it, then at him. "You are Mafia." He watched her carefully. Does that change whether you help me? It changes how stupid I feel. She cleaned the wound while he clenched his jaw in silence. Most men screamed when alcohol hit open flesh. He did not. He only stared at her as if memorizing her face. What is your name? He asked. No. No. No name. No questions. No police. That is probably how this works, right? This time he did almost smile. She stitched him with trembling hands, whispering prayers under her breath in Igbo and English. He noticed. What are you saying? That God should forgive me if you turn out to be the devil. His eyes stayed on her face. And if I am? Naya tied the bandage harder than necessary. Then at least the devil owes me. For 2 hours, she kept him hidden while men searched outside. At one point, someone rattled the back door. Naya stood with a kitchen knife in one hand and a mop in the other, her heart beating so loudly she feared the men outside would hear it. The wounded man watched her from the bench. You would fight them with a mop? I would confuse them first. You are not afraid? I am terrified, she said. But I work 2 jobs, send money to my mother in Lagos, pay my brother's school fees, and smile at people who treat me like furniture. Fear is just another bill. Something shifted in his face. By dawn, black cars arrived. Not the same men. Different ones. Quieter. More disciplined. When Naya opened the back door, 6 men in black suits bowed to the wounded man like he was a king. One of them looked at her and reached inside his jacket. The wounded man spoke before the guard could move. Touch her and lose the hand. The guard froze. Naya looked from the men to him. Definitely Mafia. He stood slowly, pain cutting across his face, but dignity holding him upright. From his pocket, he removed a black card with a silver tiger embossed on it. If you ever need anything, he said, call this number. Naya looked at the card but did not take it. I need rich men to stop bleeding near my workplace. He placed the card on the counter anyway. What is your name? He asked again. She folded her arms. What is yours? The guards went still, as if nobody asked him questions. He looked at her for a long moment. Kwon Jae-hyun. Naya felt one of the guards inhale sharply. She knew that name. Everyone in Seoul who worked around luxury hotels, private clubs, or late-night restaurants knew that name. Kwon Jae-hyun, CEO of Kwon Group, owner of half the nightlife in Gangnam, rumored head of the Black Tiger Syndicate, a man whose smile could open banks and whose silence could bury bodies. Naya picked up the black card and pushed it back into his hand. No, thank you. His eyebrow lifted. No, no. I saved a man, not a debt. Leave before my manager comes and asks why there is Mafia blood in his changing room. His gaze held hers. Deep. Curious. Almost amused. Then he left. Naya thought that would be the end. It was not. Kwon Jae-hyun began appearing at Moon Pavilion once every 2 weeks. Never loudly. Never with the dramatic violence she expected from a mafia boss. He came through the private elevator, sat at the corner table on the VIP floor, ordered black coffee he barely touched, and watched the room like a man who owned not only the restaurant but the secrets of every person inside it. Naya tried to avoid serving him. Her manager, Mr. Choi, never allowed that. Table 7, he would say, pushing the tray into her hands. VIP. Smile. But not too much. The first time she served Jae-hyun after the alley, she placed his coffee down and said, "You survived." He looked up. "You sound disappointed." "I am checking if I need to improve my stitching." It was ugly. It was free. His mouth curved slightly. That small almost smile made her stomach do something foolish. She hated it immediately. Jae-hyun noticed things. That was the worst part. He noticed when a guest spoke rudely to her. He noticed when she limped after standing for 13 hours. He noticed when she packed leftover staff rice into a container because she was too tired to cook at home. One evening, after a drunk businessman grabbed her wrist and asked if African girls danced after work, the man suddenly found his membership canceled, his car blocked, and his company under tax investigation by morning. Naya knew who had done it. She confronted Jae-hyun the next time he came. "You cannot destroy every man who annoys me." He sipped his coffee. "I did not destroy him. He was crying in the parking lot." He learned. She leaned closer, lowering her voice. I do not need a Mafia guardian angel. His eyes moved to her wrist, where the drunk man had left a bruise. Then stop needing protection. The word stung. Naya stepped back. You think I asked to be treated this way? You think I wake up and choose to be the easiest person in the room to insult? His expression changed. That is not what I meant. But it is what men like you always mean. Her voice shook, but she kept it low. If a woman is hurt, you ask why she stood where knives were falling. You never ask who is throwing them. For the first time since she had known him, Kwon Jae-hyun looked ashamed. Naya, he said. She froze. She had never told him her name. He saw the realization in her eyes and did not lie. I asked. Of course you did. I wanted to know who saved my life. You wanted control. His silence was answer enough. From that day, she kept her distance. But distance did not stop the way his eyes followed her. It did not stop the heat that moved through her when he entered the restaurant. It did not stop the strange, dangerous comfort of knowing that if anyone threatened her in that room, one glance from him could turn the whole building cold. Then Han Surin came back from Paris. Moon Pavilion changed overnight. Flowers arrived by the truckload. Gold tableware replaced the silver. The private rooms were inspected 3 times. Mr. Choi screamed at staff until one dishwasher quit in tears. A famous violinist was hired. Security doubled. Naya tied her apron in the staff room while her coworker Mina whispered, You know who is coming tonight, right? Rich people with impossible allergies? Mina lowered her voice. Han Surin. The Han Cosmetics heiress. They say she is going to announce her engagement to Kwon Jae-hyun. Naya's hands paused. Mina saw it. You know him? I serve coffee. Naya. What? Mina leaned closer. Everybody sees how he looks at you. Naya forced a laugh. He looks at everyone like he is deciding if they should live. No. With you, he looks like he forgot he is supposed to be dead inside. Naya tightened her apron. That is poetic and stupid. I need tips tonight. But her chest felt tight. Engagement. Of course Jae-hyun would marry someone like Han Surin. A woman born into glass towers and political dinners. A woman whose hands had never smelled like dish soap. A woman who matched his world. Not a black waitress who rented a basement apartment and measured everyone before buying groceries. At 7 that evening, Han Surin entered Moon Pavilion like she expected the room to kneel before her. She was beautiful in a sharp, expensive way. Porcelain skin. Red lips. Long black hair smooth as silk. Diamonds at her ears. A cream designer dress that probably cost more than Naya made in a year. She walked beside her father, Chairman Han, a thick-necked man with politician eyes and gangster hands. Behind them came Kwon Jae-hyun. Naya tried not to look. Failed. He wore a black suit, no tie, his hair pushed back, his face unreadable. Beside Surin, he looked like night walking next to a blade. Surin touched his arm. He did not look at her. His eyes found Naya across the room. For one dangerous second, the entire restaurant disappeared. Then Surin followed his gaze. And saw her. Naya felt hatred land on her skin before the woman even smiled. Service began beautifully and went wrong quickly. Surin complained that the flowers were too white. Then the wine was too warm. Then the soup smelled foreign because Naya had carried it. Mr. Choi kept apologizing until sweat gathered on his forehead. Naya remained professional. She had learned long ago that dignity was sometimes the only weapon poor people were allowed to carry in rich rooms. When she approached with the vintage red wine, Surin lifted her glass and said loudly, Is she the one? The table quieted. Chairman Han frowned. The one. Surin smiled at Naya. The waitress Jae-hyun keeps coming here to watch. Naya's hand tightened on the bottle. Jae-hyun's voice was low. Surin. What? She asked sweetly. I am curious. She is pretty in a dramatic way. A few guests laughed. Naya poured the wine without spilling a drop. Surin leaned closer. Where are you from? Nigeria, ma'am. Surin looked at the others. So far from home. It must be hard knowing your place in a country like this. Naya placed the bottle down. My place tonight is serving your table, ma'am. Nothing more. Surin's smile thinned. Good. Remember that. Jaehyun's jaw flexed. Naya stepped back before he could speak. She did not want his defense. Not there. Not in front of people who already thought she was entertainment. Then Surin moved. It happened so fast nobody stopped it. She tipped her glass, spilling red wine down the front of her cream dress, then gasped as if Naya had thrown it. You stupid girl. Naya froze. Ma'am, I did not. The slap cracked across her face. Her head turned from the force. Pain exploded across her cheek. The room went silent, then came the whispers, the phones lifting, the cruel hunger of people witnessing humiliation they could pretend was drama. Surin stood, breathing hard. Do you know how much this dress costs? Naya slowly faced her. Her cheek burned. Her eyes watered. But she did not lower them. I did not spill that wine. Surin laughed. Now you lie. Chairman Han muttered. This is embarrassing. Yes, Naya said softly. It is. Surin's face darkened. What did you say? Mr. Choi rushed forward. Miss Han, please, we will handle her. Surin grabbed Naya's apron pocket and pulled out a diamond bracelet. Gasps moved around the room. Naya stared at it, stunned. Surin lifted the bracelet high. And now she steals. That is not mine, Naya whispered. Surin stepped closer. Kneel. Apologize. And maybe I will not have you arrested. Naya's whole body shook. Not from guilt. From rage. She thought of her mother in Lagos, waiting for surgery money. Her brother Toby studying on scholarship in Seoul, telling her not to work too hard. Her father, Emmanuel Okafor, who had once told her, a person can steal your comfort, but never hand them your spine. So Naya stood straight. No. Surin's eyes widened. No. No. Surin raised her hand again. The private elevator opened. Kwon Jaehyun's voice cut through the room. Enough. He had left the table minutes earlier to take a call. Now he stood near the elevator with 4 black tiger guards behind him, and the temperature of the restaurant seemed to drop. His eyes went to Naya's cheek. Something murderous moved across his face. Surin tried to recover. Jaehyun, your waitress attacked me and stole. Kneel, he said. A pleased smile flickered across Surin's face. Exactly. She should. Not her, Jaehyun said, each word soft enough to terrify. You. The silence became absolute. Surin stared at him. What? Jaehyun walked toward the table slowly. You heard me. Her laugh was sharp. Have you lost your mind? No. I found my patience finished. Chairman Han rose. Kwon, be careful. Jaehyun did not even look at him. Sit down, Chairman. The older man's face flushed, but he sat. Jaehyun lifted 2 fingers. A guard stepped forward with a tablet and placed it on the table. The CCTV footage played without sound. Surin slipping the bracelet into Naya's apron pocket. Surin tipping her own wine. Surin raising her hand. Every guest watched. Naya's breath caught. Surin's face drained of color. Jaehyun looked at her. You struck an innocent woman in my house. Your house, she whispered. His eyes were cold. Every brick. Mr. Choi nearly fainted. Surin's voice trembled with fury. You would shame me for her? No, Jaehyun said. You shamed yourself. I am simply making the room honest. Surin looked around. People who had laughed earlier now looked away. Jaehyun stepped closer. Kneel and apologize. I am Han Surin. And tonight, you are a woman who planted stolen jewelry on a waitress because you could not control jealousy. Her mouth opened. Jaehyun's voice dropped. Kneel. His guards moved, not touching her, just closing the space around her. Surin looked at Chairman Han, but her father stared at the table, calculating his losses. Slowly, shaking with humiliation, she lowered herself to her knees in front of Naya. Naya's breath came unevenly. Her cheek throbbed. Her pride hurt worse. Surin's eyes burned with hatred. I apologize. Jaehyun's gaze sharpened. Properly. Surin swallowed. I apologize for slapping you. And for falsely accusing you. Naya looked down at the woman kneeling before her. Every broken thing inside her wanted to enjoy it. But the pleasure tasted bitter. She said quietly, do not apologize because he made you. Apologize because I am human. For a second, Surin looked like she might scream. Jaehyun said, again. Surin's voice cracked. I am sorry. I treated you like you were less than me. Naya's eyes burned. She nodded once. Jaehyun turned to the guards. Escort the Han party out. Chairman Han stood in rage. This alliance is over. Jaehyun looked at him. Good. Surin rose from the floor, tears of humiliation shining in her eyes. As she passed Naya, she whispered, you will regret letting him defend you. Naya whispered back, I regret nothing I did not choose. Surin smiled coldly. You will. When the Han family left, the guests remained frozen until Jaehyun turned his eyes on them. Anyone who recorded her humiliation will leave their phone on the table. No one moved. One guard locked the front doors. Phones began hitting the table like rain. Naya wanted to breathe, but she could not. The room tilted slightly. Jaehyun stepped toward her. Naya. She backed away. His face changed. Your cheek. Do not touch me. He stopped. The pain in his eyes was brief but real. She removed her apron with shaking hands and placed it on the nearest table. I am going home. Mr. Choi said quickly, Naya, you cannot just leave in the middle of. Jaehyun looked at him. Mr. Choi stopped breathing. Naya walked out through the staff exit with her head high. She made it to the alley before the tears came. Not loud tears. Not the kind that begged to be comforted. They came silently, hot and humiliating, sliding down the cheek that still carried Surin's handprint. Behind her, the door opened. She wiped her face quickly. I said do not touch me. Jaehyun stood a few feet away, rain misting over his black suit. I did not. Good. I called a driver. I can take the bus. It is past midnight. I have taken buses past midnight before you discovered I existed. His jaw tightened. This is different. Because now your rich almost fiancé hates me? Because now my enemies know I care. The words landed between them with dangerous weight. Naya turned slowly. You care? Jaehyun looked at her swollen cheek. More than I should. Her heart betrayed her with one hard beat. She hated that too. You do not know me, she said. I know you stood in a room full of wolves and did not kneel. That is not enough to care. It was enough to begin. She looked away because his eyes were too steady, and she was too tired to pretend they did not affect her. You made her kneel, Naya said. Do you understand what you did? I corrected an insult. No. You started a war. His expression darkened. The war started when she touched you. Naya laughed once, bitterly. Listen to yourself. I am not a territory. I am not your restaurant. I am not one of your clubs. I know. Do you? Because men like you protect women like you own them. His silence was honest enough to hurt. Naya stepped closer, voice low. If you want to protect me, do not make decisions for me in rooms where I am already powerless. Jaehyun's eyes searched her face. Then he bowed his head slightly. It was not dramatic. It was not public. But from a man like him, it felt like an earthquake. You are right. Naya blinked. He continued, I should have asked what you wanted after the CCTV played. I saw your face and thought only of punishment. And did punishment satisfy you? No. Why? His gaze met hers. Because your cheek was still red. For a moment, the rain, the alley, the city, all faded into the space between them. Then a black sedan stopped nearby. Jaehyun opened the door himself. Let me at least get you home safely. Naya wanted to refuse. But her body was shaking, her cheek hurt, and somewhere inside her was the quiet truth that she did not want to stand alone in that alley anymore. She got in. Across the city, in the back seat of another car, Han Surin stopped crying. Her father sat beside her, face like stone. You humiliated our family, Chairman Han said. Surin's eyes were red, but her voice was cold. He humiliated me. You behaved like a jealous child. He chose her. He embarrassed you because you were careless. She turned to him. Are you angry because I slapped a waitress or because I got caught? Chairman Han looked at her sharply. Surin smiled through her tears. Exactly. He looked away. She stared out the window at Seoul's glittering skyline. Who is she? A nobody. No, Surin's fingers curled around her stained dress. Nobody makes Kwon Jae-hyun break an alliance in front of cameras. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered. A male voice said, if you want revenge on the Waitress and Jae-hyun, we should talk. Surin's eyes narrowed. Who is this? Kwon Min-suk. Jae-hyun's half-brother. The man rumored to be the only person in Seoul reckless enough to want the Black Tiger throne. Surin leaned back in her seat. For the first time that night, she smiled. Naya's apartment was in a semi-basement building where the window looked directly at people's shoes. Jae-hyun's driver stopped outside. Naya reached for the door, but Jae-hyun spoke before she opened it. Do you have ice? She stared at him. What? For your cheek. I have frozen peas. His eyes moved to the dark stairwell leading down to her apartment. I will walk you. No. Naya. No. You do not get to stand in my doorway looking like a Mafia warning sign. My neighbors already think I am suspicious because I work nights and speak Korean better than their sons. His mouth twitched. She pointed at him. Do not smile. I didn't. You almost did. He looked down, and the almost smile disappeared into something softer. Thank you for saving my life that night. She froze. This is a strange time to say that. I should have said it properly before. You said it with a black card and 6 scary men. That was improper. That was terrifying. I know that now. She looked at him, surprised by the quiet sincerity in his voice. He removed a small white box from inside his coat and handed it to her. She did not take it. If that is money, I will throw it at your head. It is medicine. She took it carefully. Ointment for swelling. Expensive. Thoughtful. That is still money in cream form, she muttered. But harder to throw. Despite herself, she laughed. It was small. Tired. But real. Jae-hyun looked at her like that laugh was something he wanted to protect more than all his clubs. Naya felt warmth rise in her chest and immediately stepped out of the car. Good night, Mr. Kwon. His eyes darkened slightly at the distance in the title. Good night, Naya. She went inside without looking back. But from her basement window, she watched his car remain until her light turned on. The next morning, Naya arrived at Moon Pavilion to find her locker already emptied. Mr. Choi stood in the staff hallway, unable to meet her eyes. What did you do? She asked. He handed her an envelope. Severance. Her stomach dropped. You are firing me? I am sorry. No, you're scared. He looked at her then, and his face was gray. The Han family called the investors. They said if you remain, the restaurant loses private event contracts. I have staff to think about. I was the one slapped. I know. And I was the one framed. I know. But I am easier to punish. He said nothing. Naya took the envelope. For 1 second, despair pressed against her ribs so hard she almost could not breathe. Rent was due. Her mother's surgery deposit was due. Toby's dorm payment was overdue. Pride was beautiful until bills came like wolves. Then the staff hallway went silent. Jae-hyun stood at the entrance. Mr. Choi bowed so low his glasses almost fell. Mr. Kwon. Jae-hyun looked at the envelope in Naya's hand. What is that? Naya answered before Mr. Choi could. A lesson in how justice works when rich people complain. Jae-hyun looked at Mr. Choi. You fired her. Mr. Choi swallowed. The Han family pressured. You fired an innocent employee because the woman who assaulted her was embarrassed. I had no choice. Jae-hyun's face remained calm. That made it worse. You had a choice. You chose badly. Mr. Choi bowed again. Sir, please understand. You are dismissed. The manager blinked. Sir, pack your office. Mr. Choi stared. You cannot. Jae-hyun tilted his head. Would you like me to explain ownership again? The hallway went colder. Mr. Choi walked away with his mouth trembling. Naya turned on Jae-hyun. You cannot keep firing people because of me. I did not fire him because of you. Really? I fired him because a manager who sacrifices innocent staff to appease abusers is bad business. That sounded almost legal. I have lawyers. She shook her head and tried to walk past him, but he stepped aside without blocking her. That restraint made her stop more than force would have. What now? She asked. You offer me his job? Yes. She stared at him. Are you insane? frequently accused. I am a waitress. You are disciplined, multilingual, respected by staff, and better at handling predators than my last 3 managers. I do not want charity. It is not charity. The salary is fair for floor supervisor. Housing allowance included. Medical benefits. No one touches your tips. Her heart squeezed at medical benefits. He saw it. She hated that he saw it. I said no charity, she whispered. Then earn it. The challenge made her look up. Jaehyun stepped closer, his voice lower. Do not let Han Surin decide where you are allowed to stand. Stay. Work. Outperform every person who thought you should disappear. Naya wanted to reject him, but she wanted to survive more. And maybe, if she was honest, a part of her wanted to stand inside that restaurant again and not be remembered as the woman who walked out broken. So she lifted her chin. I want a written contract. His eyes warmed. Done. I want Mina promoted to shift lead. Done. I want Mr. Choi to receive 3 months' pay. He is a coward, but he has children. Jaehyun paused. Then he nodded. Done. And I want you to stop looking at me like you bought my loyalty. His expression changed. I did not buy it. No, she said. You are trying to earn it. There is a difference. He held her gaze. Then I will. For the next 2 weeks, Naya became the most talked about woman in Moon Pavilion. Some staff admired her. Some resented her. Some wealthy guests requested another server and looked surprised when Jaehyun's new policy banned them for discriminatory behavior before dessert. Naya worked harder than everyone. She inspected wine lists, corrected table layouts, trained new servers, translated for foreign guests, and learned which VIPs were dangerous enough to seat near exits. She did not pretend Jaehyun's world was clean. But she learned its rules because ignorance was expensive. Jaehyun appeared more often. Too often. Sometimes he came for meetings. Sometimes he came for coffee. Sometimes he stood by the kitchen entrance pretending to review security while watching Naya teach a trainee how to carry 3 plates. One night, after closing, she found him alone in the private room, removing a blood-stained cufflink. She stopped in the doorway. Do I want to know? No. Are you hurt? No. The lie was obvious. She walked in and grabbed his wrist. Blood ran from a cut across his knuckles. Sit. He looked amused. You give orders now? In this room, yes. He sat. She brought the first aid kit and cleaned his hand. His skin was warm under her fingers. The restaurant was quiet around them, lights low, city glowing beyond the window. You fight too much, she said. You work too much. I need money. I need control. She looked up. That sounded honest. It slipped. She wrapped his hand. What happened? A man who thought he could threaten my staff. Nobody threatens staff with their face. He also had a knife. Naya's fingers paused. Because of me? Jaehyun did not answer quickly enough. She pulled her hand away. Tell me. His jaw tightened. Surin and Minsuk are talking. Your half-brother? Yes. The one who tried to kill you? His eyes sharpened. You researched me. You bled in my workplace with a tiger tattoo. Of course I researched you. He leaned back, studying her. Minsuk wants my organization. Surin wants revenge. Together, they are stupid enough to be dangerous. Naya's stomach twisted. What do they want with me? To prove you are not untouchable. I never asked to be untouchable. No one asks to become a target. She stood, suddenly unable to remain close to him. Then maybe I should leave. And go where? My apartment. Another job. Another city. They will follow. Because you made her kneel. His eyes hardened with pain. Because she slapped you. And because you cared. There it was again. Care. A word too soft for the blood around him. Jaehyun stood slowly. Move to a safe apartment. No. Naya. No. You do not get to move me around like furniture because your enemies are angry. His voice sharpened. This is not pride. This is survival. My pride is part of my survival. He stepped closer. Your life matters more. To you. Yes. The answer came too quickly. Naya's breath caught. Jaehyun looked at her lips, then away, like even his desire obeyed discipline. She whispered, "You're engaged." No. Your families think you are. My family thinks many things that are wrong. But Surin thinks you belong to her. I do not belong to anyone. Naya looked into his eyes. And if I said the same? Something like respect moved through his face. Then I would believe you. For a moment, the space between them filled with everything they were not saying. Then his phone rang. He answered, listened for 3 seconds, and his face changed. What? Naya asked. He looked at her. Your apartment alarm. My apartment does not have an alarm. It does now. Before she could argue, he was already moving. They reached Naya's building in 12 minutes. Her door was broken. The small apartment had been destroyed. Drawers pulled out. Clothes scattered. Her mother's photo frame cracked. Toby's spare textbooks torn. On her pillow sat a black silk flower and a note. Jaehyun picked it up before she could. Naya snatched it from him. It had only one line. Tell the waitress the floor is waiting. Naya's hands shook. Jaehyun's voice was deadly calm. You are moving tonight. This time, she did not argue. If you are still watching, comment the floor is waiting because from this moment, the rich woman's revenge becomes more dangerous. And the waitress who refused to kneel is about to discover that the Korean Mafia CEO's biggest secret is tied to her own family's blood. Don't forget to like this video if you want more Black Waitress and Korean Mafia romance stories with betrayal, revenge, and emotional love. Jaehyun's safe apartment was not an apartment. It was a penthouse above the Han River with windows taller than Naya's entire bedroom, an elevator that opened into the living room, and security so quiet it felt invisible. Naya stood in the entrance holding a plastic bag of the few clothes she had rescued from her apartment. This is ridiculous. Jaehyun removed his coat. It is secure. It has a chandelier in the kitchen. It came with the building. You say that like normal people accidentally own buildings. He almost smiled. You are safe here. Naya looked around. Safe is not the same as comfortable. No, he said. But it is a start. Toby arrived an hour later, escorted by 2 guards who looked deeply confused by his non-stop questions. He was 20, tall and skinny, with Naya's eyes and their father's easy grin. The grin disappeared when he saw her cheek still faintly bruised. Who did this? Naya hugged him tightly. I am fine. You always say that when you are not fine. Jaehyun stood across the room, watching quietly. Toby noticed him. And this is the Mafia CEO? Naya closed her eyes. Toby. What? He looks exactly like the internet says. Rich, scary, and emotionally constipated. One of the guards coughed. Jaehyun's mouth twitched. Naya pointed at her brother. Be respectful. Toby looked at Jaehyun. Thank you for helping my sister. But if you hurt her, I do not care how many men you have. I will find a kitchen knife. Jaehyun nodded gravely. Understood. Naya stared at him. Do not encourage him. I respect clear threats. For the first time in days, Naya laughed freely. Jaehyun looked at her like he had been starving for that sound. The penthouse changed something between them. Not immediately. Not simply. But slowly, in late-night moments when danger made sleep impossible. Naya learned that Jaehyun drank tea at 3 a.m. because nightmares came when he slept too long. He learned that she called her mother every morning and lied brightly about how well she was eating. She learned that he could cook exactly one dish, ramen with too much egg. He learned that she hated being cold and always tucked one foot under her when sitting. One night, she found him on the balcony, soul glowing beneath them. You should sleep, she said. So should you. I had coffee. I had enemies. She stood beside him. Do you ever get tired of saying things like a movie villain? He looked at her. Do you ever get tired of pretending you are not afraid? The question stripped the humor away. Naya looked down at the river. If I stop pretending, I may not stand up again. Jaehyun's voice softened. You do not have to stand every minute. That is something rich men say because chairs appear when they are tired. He nodded slowly. Fair. The fact that he accepted the hit made her chest ache. After a while, she said, my father died because he stood up. Jaehyun went still. He worked logistics at Lagos port, Naya continued. A Korean-backed shipping company came in. There were illegal containers, missing workers, bribes. He found something. He was going to testify. Her voice tightened. Then there was a fire. They said accident. Jaehyun's hand tightened on the railing. Naya noticed. What? Nothing. No. Your face changed. He turned away. Many companies used Lagos port. She stared at him. Did yours? He did not answer. Cold moved through her. Jaehyun. He looked at her then, and the guilt in his eyes was not enough to be confession, but it was enough to be terrifying. My father had dealings there, he said carefully. Before I took control. What kind of dealings? I do not know all of it yet. Yet? He closed his eyes briefly. Naya stepped back. You are investigating it. Naya. My father. I found his name in old files 2 years ago. The air left her body. You knew my father's name? I did not know you then. But after the alley? After you found out who I was? You knew. His silence was the answer that shattered something. Naya backed away from him. You let me work under you. You let me live here. You looked at me every day knowing your family might be connected to my father's death. I was trying to find proof. You were hiding truth. I was protecting you. No, her voice broke. Do not use that word when you mean controlling the damage. He moved toward her. Listen to me. She stepped back. Do not touch me. He stopped instantly. That made it worse because part of her wanted him to ignore her. To give her a reason to hate him cleanly. But Jaehyun only stood there, wounded and silent. Naya turned and walked inside. In her room, she locked the door and pressed both hands over her mouth so Toby would not hear her cry. At dawn, Toby was gone. Naya found his room empty, bed unmade, phone on the floor. One message waited on her phone. Come alone. Bring Kwan's Lagos file. If you tell him, your brother dies. Attached was a photo of Toby tied to a chair, blood on his lip, eyes furious but terrified. Naya's heart stopped. For 1 second, she almost ran to Jaehyun. Then she saw the file name in the message. Lagos file. They knew. Which meant either Jaehyun's enemies knew his secrets, or someone in his circle had betrayed him. Naya moved like a woman outside her own body. She remembered the code she had seen Jaehyun enter into his office safe. She remembered the drawer where he kept old drives. She remembered enough. She entered his study while he was in a security call and found the file. Inside the folder was her father's photo. Emmanuel Okafor. Below it, stamped in red, were the words, Witness eliminated. Naya stumbled backward, a sound tearing from her throat. Behind her, Jaehyun said, You were never supposed to see that like this. She turned, holding the file like it was a weapon. Like this. His face was pale. They took Toby. You knew my father was murdered. Yes. The honesty hit harder than a lie. And your family did it. My father approved the shipment. Chairman Han controlled the port officials. Min-suk's mother company handled the fire. Do not give me a board meeting summary. Her voice cracked so violently even Jaehyun flinched. My father burned, Jaehyun. I know. No, you do not know. You read it in a file. I heard my mother scream into the phone. I watched her become old in one night. I dropped out of school. I came here and served tables while men connected to his death drank wine above me. Tears ran down her face, but her eyes were fire. And you let me fall in love with you. Jaehyun froze. So did she. The confession hung there, raw and accidental. His voice lowered. Naya. She shook her head. No. I was going to tell you. When? After revenge? After you decided I was safe enough to know my own pain. He stepped closer. I have evidence. Not enough for court yet, but enough to destroy them if I can get Min-suk's ledger. Toby does not have time for your strategy. Then we go together. The phone buzzed again. Alone. 30 minutes. Or he loses fingers. Naya's face changed. Jaehyun saw it and reached for her. Do not. She grabbed the drive from the desk and ran. He cursed and followed, but Naya was fast, desperate, and knew the service elevator from watching staff deliveries. By the time Jaehyun reached the parking garage, she was gone in one of the security cars. The warehouse was outside Incheon, near abandoned shipping yards where containers stacked like metal tombs. Naya arrived with the drive hidden inside her boot and a small kitchen knife strapped under her coat. Two men grabbed her at the entrance. She fought hard enough to break one man's nose before they pinned her arms. A familiar voice laughed. Han Surin stepped from behind a container wearing black leather gloves and a smile full of poison. I told you the floor was waiting. Naya spat blood from her lip. Did you practice that line in the mirror? Surin's smile vanished. She slapped Naya. The sound cracked through the warehouse. Naya's head turned, but this time she laughed softly. Surin stiffened. What is funny? You hit the same way you love, Naya said. Desperate for proof you matter. Surin hit her again. Kwon Min-suk emerged from the shadows, clapping slowly. He looked like a rougher version of Jae-hyun, handsome but careless, with a cruel smile and restless eyes. His suit was expensive, but his soul looked cheap. I see why my brother likes her, he said. She bleeds beautifully. Naya's stomach turned. Where is my brother? Min-suk gestured. Two men dragged Toby forward. His face was bruised, but his eyes lit when he saw her. Naya. I told them you would bring trouble. She almost sobbed with relief. You are alive. For now, Min-suk said. The file. Naya looked at Surin. You kidnapped my brother because you were embarrassed at dinner? Surin's eyes flashed. You think this is about embarrassment? You stole my future. I served wine. You made him look at you. Naya stared at her. That is the saddest thing you have said. Surin stepped closer. Kneel. Toby shouted, do not. A gun pressed to his head. Naya stopped breathing. Surin smiled. Kneel, waitress. Naya looked at her brother. His eyes were wet with fear, but he shook his head. Pride was survival. But family was breath. Slowly, Naya lowered herself to her knees. Toby screamed, Naya, no. Surin's face filled with satisfaction. Naya looked up at her. Enjoy it. Surin bent close. I will. Good, Naya whispered. Because it is the last time. She pulled the knife from under her coat and slashed the ankle of the man holding her. As he shouted, she rolled sideways, grabbed a broken piece of wood, and swung hard into another man's knee. Toby threw his chair backward, knocking over the man with the gun. Chaos exploded. Min-suk shouted, grab her. Naya ran toward Toby, cutting the rope around his wrists with shaking hands. A black SUV smashed through the warehouse doors. Then another. Then 5 more. Men in black poured in. At their center walked Kwon Jae-hyun. No coat. No softness. Just a black shirt, black gloves, and a face that promised the end of every person in that warehouse. His eyes found Naya on the floor beside Toby. For half a second, relief broke through the fury. Then Min-suk fired. The bullet hit a container beside Naya's head. Jae-hyun moved like violence had been waiting under his skin his entire life. The warehouse became a storm. Black Tiger men fought Min-suk's guards between containers. Fists. Knives. Gunshots striking metal. Toby pulled Naya behind a forklift while she searched frantically for the dropped drive. Surin tried to escape. Naya saw her. Something in her snapped. She ran after her, grabbing Surin's hair as the heiress reached a side door. Surin screamed. Let go. Naya shoved her against a container. You made me kneel in front of my brother. Surin clawed at her face. You are nothing. Naya caught her wrist. Then why are you so afraid of me? Surin reached for a small gun inside her coat. Naya slammed her hand against the metal container until the gun fell. Before Naya could grab it, a flame burst at the far end of the warehouse. Min-suk had set fire to the fuel drums. Smoke filled the air. Jae-hyun saw Naya through the smoke and ran. Min-suk blocked him with a knife. You always take what belongs to me. Jae-hyun's voice was ice. You think people are things. That is why you lose them. They collided. The fight was brutal. Brothers by blood, enemies by choice. Min-suk slashed Jae-hyun's side. Jae-hyun drove his fist into Min-suk's ribs. They crashed into a stack of crates as fire crawled closer. Naya dragged Toby toward the exit, coughing. Then she saw Jae-hyun stagger. Min-suk raised the knife again. Naya picked up the fallen gun. Her hands shook. She had never fired a gun in her life. Min-suk, she shouted. He turned. She pointed the gun at him. Move away from him. Min-suk smiled. You won't shoot. Naya's finger trembled. Jaehyun looked at her, bleeding and breathless. Naya, don't. Minsuk stepped closer. Naya fired. The bullet hit the container above his head, showering sparks. Minsuk ducked, and Jaehyun used the moment to knock him unconscious. Naya dropped the gun like it had burned her. Jaehyun reached her as smoke thickened. You came, she coughed. His hands gripped her face. You ran. My brother. I know. I saw the file. I know. I hate you. His eyes darkened with pain. I know. She swayed. He caught her immediately. Toby shouted, Can both of you fight romantically outside? The building is burning. Jaehyun lifted Naya into his arms despite his bleeding side. She tried to protest. I can walk. Lie. You are bleeding. So are you. I hate Mafia men. I know. He carried her through smoke and fire as sirens wailed outside. Just before they reached the exit, Naya looked over his shoulder and saw Surin vanish through a side door. Their eyes met across the flames. Surin smiled, then disappeared. At the safe house, Naya treated Jaehyun's knife wound while refusing to look at his face. Toby slept in the next room under guard, bruised but alive. The room was quiet except for the soft sound of bandages tearing. Jaehyun sat shirtless on the edge of the bed, his tiger tattoo moving with every breath. Naya cleaned the cut along his ribs, furious at how steady her hands were while her heart was not. You should be at a hospital, she said. You said that the first night. You were less annoying unconscious. He almost smiled, then winced. She pressed the cloth harder. He exhaled. I deserve that. You deserve worse. Yes. That answer broke some of her anger because he did not defend himself. She looked up. Why did you keep the file? To destroy the people who signed it. Your father. He is dead. Convenient. His face tightened. Not enough. Death spared him consequences. And Chairman Han? Alive. Minsuk? Alive. Surin. He looked away. Naya laughed bitterly. She escaped. For now. No. Not for now. Women like her always escape because men like you are busy fighting other men. His eyes returned to hers. Then tell me what you want. I want my father's name cleared. Done. I want my mother to know he was not careless. Done. I want Chairman Han exposed in a room full of people who once laughed at me. Jaehyun's gaze sharpened. Done. I want Surin to feel what it is like to lose power and have nobody save her. He nodded slowly. Done. And I want you to stop deciding what truth I can survive. His expression changed. That, he said quietly, will be harder. But I will do it. Naya's eyes burned. She stepped back, but he caught her hand gently. She could have pulled away. She did not. I am sorry, he said. The words were simple. No excuse. No strategy. Just sorrow. Naya looked at his hand around hers. Strong. Dangerous. Careful. You hurt me. I know. You made me feel safe while hiding the reason I was in danger. His jaw clenched. I know. I do not know how to love you and forgive that at the same time. His breath caught at the word love. He stood slowly despite the wound, towering over her but not crowding her. Then do not forgive me yet, he said. Let me earn the right to ask. Her throat tightened. Outside the window, Seoul glittered like nothing ugly had ever happened beneath it. Jaehyun lifted his hand and touched her cheek, the same cheek Surin had slapped weeks ago. His thumb moved softly over the faded bruise. Naya whispered, You are dangerous. Yes. You scare me. I scare myself when it comes to you. You say things like that and expect me to think clearly? No, he said. I am hoping you don't. A laugh broke from her before she could stop it. Then his mouth was near hers, not touching, waiting. He did not take. He asked without words. Naya closed the distance. The kiss was slow at first, careful around pain and anger. Then it deepened, full of everything they had almost lost in the warehouse, everything they could not say without bleeding. His hand slid to her waist, firm but gentle. Hers moved to his shoulder, feeling the heat of his skin, the tension of a man who controlled empires but trembled when she kissed him. When she pulled back, both of them were breathing hard. This does not mean I forgive you, she whispered. His forehead rested against hers. I know. It does not mean you can order me around. I know. It does not mean I am yours. His eyes opened. No, he said softly. It means I am in trouble. Despite everything, she smiled. He looked at that smile like it was victory. The final trap was set at Chairman Han's charity gala 1 week later. The event was held at a luxury hotel ballroom filled with politicians, investors, celebrities, and the same kind of rich people who had watched Naya get slapped and pretended their silence was manners. Han Soo-rin appeared in a silver gown, flawless again, as if the warehouse had never happened. Chairman Han stood beside her, smiling for cameras. Min-suk, released temporarily through corrupt police contacts, stood near the champagne tower with a bandage on his temple and murder in his eyes. The gala was supposed to repair reputations. Chairman Han planned to announce that Soo-rin and Jae-hyun were officially engaged, forcing Jae-hyun into the alliance publicly. If he denied it, Han would release edited footage claiming Naya was his criminal mistress and that Jae-hyun had staged the warehouse violence to hide illegal deals. They thought they had cornered him. They forgot Naya knew how to work a room. At 9:15, the ballroom doors opened. Naya entered first, not in a waitress uniform. She wore a deep gold dress that glowed against her dark brown skin, her braids swept over one shoulder, her chin high, her beauty undeniable. Gasps moved through the room. Some recognized her immediately. Some looked ashamed. Some looked irritated that the woman they had seen humiliated now looked like someone they should have been afraid to underestimate. Jae-hyun walked beside her in a black suit, his hand resting lightly at her back, but not pushing, not guiding, only present. Toby followed with Mina and 3 security men carrying tablets. Soo-rin's smile collapsed. What is she doing here? She hissed. Jae-hyun took a microphone from the host before the man could protest. Good evening. The room quieted. Chairman Han forced a laugh. Jae-hyun, this is unexpected. We were just about to lie, Jae-hyun said. The ballroom froze. A giant screen behind the stage turned on. First came the CCTV from Moon Pavilion. The slap. The planted bracelet. The forced apology. Whispers erupted. Soo-rin's face turned white. Turn that off. Then came the warehouse footage. Soo-rin ordering Naya to kneel. Toby tied to a chair. Min-suk holding a gun. Chairman Han stepped back. This is fabricated. Naya took the microphone from Jae-hyun. Her hand trembled once, then steadied. My name is Naya Okafor, she said. Some of you remember me as the waitress you watched being slapped. The room went silent. I was accused of stealing. I was called less than human. Many of you saw the truth and said nothing because silence was cheaper than courage. Several guests looked down. Naya continued, voice clear. But this is not only about me. My father, Emmanuel Okafor, died in Lagos because he found illegal shipments connected to companies controlled by Chairman Han, the late Kwon family leadership, and Kwon Min-suk's network. Chairman Han shouted enough. The ballroom doors opened. Prosecutors entered. Behind them came reporters. Jae-hyun looked at Chairman Han. I invited them. The screen changed again. Documents. Bank transfers. Port records. Audio recordings. Min-suk's ledger. A video of Chairman Han ordering the suppression of the Lagos fire report. Chairman Han lunged toward the stage, but Jae-hyun's guards stopped him. Soo-rin turned to run. Naya stepped down from the stage and blocked her path. For a moment, the two women stared at each other. Soo-rin's face twisted. Move. Naya said nothing. I said move. Naya's voice was soft. No. Soo-rin lifted her hand. The whole room seemed to inhale. This time, Naya caught her wrist midair. The silence became electric. Naya looked into Soo-rin's eyes. Never again. Jae-hyun appeared beside them. Soo-rin looked at him, desperate now. Jae-hyun, please. You know I loved you. He looked at her without emotion. You loved winning. Her lips trembled. I can fix this. No. She dropped to her knees suddenly, not because anyone pushed her, but because her power had finally left her body. Please, she whispered. Do not let them arrest me. The room watched. The same rich woman who had ordered a waitress to kneel was now kneeling on a marble ballroom floor in front of that same woman. Jaehyun's face remained cold. You should apologize. Surin looked at Naya, tears ruining her makeup. I am sorry. Naya crouched slowly so they were eye level. No, Naya said. You are afraid. That is not the same thing. Surin cried harder. Naya stood. You do not owe me an apology, she said. You owe the law the truth. The prosecutors took Surin away. Minsuk tried to pull a gun. Toby saw it first. Gun. Jaehyun shoved Naya behind him as Minsuk fired. The bullet shattered the champagne tower. Guests screamed. Jaehyun's guards tackled Minsuk, but not before Naya grabbed a heavy silver serving tray from a shocked waiter and swung it into Minsuk's wrist. The gun skidded across the floor. Toby stared at her. You hit him with a tray? Naya breathed hard. I am still a waitress at heart. Jaehyun looked at her, half furious, half impressed. We will discuss your habit of attacking armed men. She pointed at him. After we discuss yours. Even in chaos, his mouth curved. Chairman Han was arrested before midnight. Surin's confession came 3 days later. Minsuk's ledger destroyed half the Black Tiger's corrupt network and exposed the men who had used Jaehyun's father's empire to hide murder, trafficking, and illegal shipments. Jaehyun turned over evidence that could have protected his own wealth because Naya asked him one question. Do you want power or do you want to sleep? He chose sleep. Not easily. Not cleanly. But publicly. The media called it the fall of the Black Tiger. Jaehyun called it removing poison from the blood. Naya's father's name was cleared in both Korea and Nigeria. Emmanuel Okafor was no longer listed as a careless worker who caused a port accident. He was named a whistleblower. A man murdered for telling the truth. When Naya called her mother and told her, the older woman wept so hard she could not speak for 5 minutes. Then she whispered, Your father can rest now. Naya cried alone after that. Or she tried to. Jaehyun found her on the balcony of the safe apartment, wrapped in a blanket, looking at the river. He did not touch her at first. He simply stood beside her. After a while, she said, I thought justice would feel bigger. It doesn't. It feels quiet. Maybe because grief is loud for so long. She looked at him. When did you become wise? I am repeating something Mrs. Park told me. Smart woman. Yes. The wind moved gently through Naya's braids. Jaehyun said, I signed the papers today. What papers? Kwon Group is selling the clubs, casinos, and private security divisions tied to the syndicate. The legal businesses will remain under outside oversight. I am stepping down for 6 months while investigators finish. Naya stared. You are leaving power? I am leaving poison. That cannot be easy. No. Do you regret it? He turned to face her. I regret that I did not do it before you had to bleed in my world. Her throat tightened. He continued, I also arranged full medical payment for your mother. Before you argue, it is not charity. It is restitution from seized Han assets. Your father earned more than money. This is only a fragment. Naya looked away before he could see the tears. I was going to argue. I know. You are learning. I have a good teacher. She smiled faintly. For a long moment, there was only wind and city light. Then Jaehyun said, I am not asking you to forgive me tonight. Her eyes returned to him. I am not asking you to forget what my family's name did to yours, he said. I am not asking you to belong to me. I am asking for permission to stand near you while you decide if I deserve a place in your life. Naya's heart hurt. This man had once made a rich heiress kneel with one word. He had commanded rooms, frightened criminals, broken alliances, and walked through fire. Yet now he stood before her asking, not taking. That mattered. Maybe not enough to erase everything, but enough to begin. She stepped closer and touched his bandaged hand. You may stand near me. His eyes softened. But if you lie to me again, I will leave. I know. And if you try to control me, I will embarrass you in public. I believe you. And if I need time, you will give it. As much as you need. She lifted an eyebrow. That sounded painful for you. It was. She laughed. He smiled, and this time it was not almost. It was real. 6 months later, Moon Pavilion reopened under a new name. Naya's Table. The old VIP floor was gone. The private elevator was sealed. No guest was allowed to mistreat staff, no matter how rich, famous, or dangerous. The restaurant served Korean-Nigerian fusion dishes that critics first mocked, then praised when they realized pride could taste like pepper soup, kimchi rice, grilled beef, jollof arancini, and honey yuzu plantains. Mina became general manager. Toby worked the front desk on weekends and told every customer the same thing: "My sister owns this place, so behave." Naya did not own it alone. She insisted on buying in slowly with profits, refusing to let Jaehyun gift her a restaurant like an apology wrapped in marble. He accepted that too, though she knew it nearly killed him. On opening night, every table was full. Reporters came. Former staff came. Nigerian students came. Korean celebrities came. Even Mrs. Park came and cried into a napkin after tasting the pepper soup. Jaehyun arrived late. Not with guards. Alone. He wore a dark navy suit, his hair softer than usual, his face no longer carrying the same permanent winter. People still turned when he entered. Power did not disappear from a man like him just because he left the underworld. But it had changed. It no longer looked like a weapon first. Naya saw him from across the room. Her heart still reacted before her pride could stop it. He approached the counter where she stood reviewing reservations. "Do you have a table?" he asked. She looked around the packed restaurant. "Did you book?" "No." "Then no." "I know the owner. She sounds busy. She is also beautiful." Naya tried not to smile. Flattery does not create tables. It used to create fear. "This is not your Mafia club." His eyes warmed. "No. It is better." She looked at him then, really looked. There had been months of slow healing between them. Hard conversations. Anger. Silence. Late-night phone calls. Shared meals. Arguments about security. Laughter with Toby. A trip to Lagos, where Jaehyun met her mother and stood in Emmanuel Okafor's old church looking like a man prepared to be judged by God and Nigerian aunties at the same time. Her mother had stared at him for a long time and said, "Handsome trouble." Jaehyun had bowed and replied, "Yes, ma'am." That was the day Naya began to forgive him. Not all at once, but honestly. Now, in the restaurant built from pain and survival, he reached into his jacket and removed something small. Not a ring. The old black card with the silver tiger. The one she had refused the night she saved him. He placed it on the counter. "I came to return this," he said. Naya looked at it. "I thought you gave it to me." "I gave it to you like a debt. I want to return it like a memory." Her chest tightened. He continued, "That night, you saved a man you had every reason to fear. You asked for nothing. Since then, I have been trying to become the kind of man who deserved to be saved by you." The restaurant noise softened around her. Naya whispered, "Jaehyun." He stepped back from the counter. Then, in the middle of Naya's table, in front of staff, guests, reporters, and Toby, who immediately grabbed his phone, Kwon Jaehyun lowered himself to one knee. Gasps filled the room. Naya's eyes widened. "What are you doing?" He looked up at her. The man who had once made Han Soo-rin kneel in humiliation now knelt willingly, without shame, without power games, without command. 6 months ago, he said, "A cruel woman tried to force you to the floor. I made her kneel because I thought justice meant lowering the person who hurt you." His voice softened. "Now I know love is different. Love is choosing to lower my pride before you." Tears filled Naya's eyes. Toby whispered loudly, "That was smooth." Mina elbowed him. Jaehyun smiled briefly, then looked back at Naya. "I am not asking you to forget the past. I am asking to build a future where no one in your home ever has to kneel from shame again." He opened a small velvet box. Inside was a ring, simple and elegant, with a warm gold band and a small diamond shaped like a teardrop. "Naya Okafor, will you marry me when your heart is ready? Today, next year, 10 years from now. I will wait on this knee if necessary." Naya laughed through tears. "That is medically dangerous. I have survived worse." She walked around the counter slowly. Everyone held their breath. She stood in front of him, looking down at the man who had been danger, protection, pain, apology, and love. You understand I am not becoming a mafia wife. I am no longer mafia. Toby will still threaten you. I have accepted him. My mother will move in for visits and judge your cooking. I fear her more than prosecutors. Naya smiled. And if I say yes, she whispered, you do not own me. Jaehyun's eyes shone. No. I stand beside you. She held out her hand. Then yes. The restaurant erupted. Toby shouted, finally. Mina cried. Mrs. Park clapped like a proud grandmother. Reporters captured the moment, but for once, Naya did not care who watched. Jaehyun slid the ring onto her finger and stood carefully. When he kissed her, it was not desperate like the night after the warehouse. It was not forbidden like the first kiss at the safe house. It was warm, public, chosen. A kiss without shame. Later that night, after the guests left and the staff cleaned with music playing softly, Naya stood alone in the same dining room where her humiliation had once begun. The floor was polished. The tables were reset. The air smelled of spice, citrus, and new beginnings. Jaehyun came up behind her but did not touch until she leaned back into him. Do you ever think about that night? He asked. The slap. Yes. She nodded. Sometimes. His arms wrapped gently around her waist. I do too. She looked at the floor where Surin had kneeled. I used to think the best revenge was seeing her on her knees. And now? Naya turned in his arms. The best revenge is that I own the room where she tried to make me feel worthless. His eyes softened. And that, she added, touching his chest, you learn to kneel without being cruel. He laughed quietly. You make me sound trained. You are improving. He kissed her forehead. Outside, Seoul glittered. Inside, Naya's table glowed with warmth. Once, Naya had been a waitress people looked through. Then she became the woman they whispered about. Then she became the woman they feared. But in the end, she became something better. A woman who did not need revenge to know her worth, but took justice anyway. A woman who loved a dangerous man without becoming his possession. A woman who was slapped in front of the rich and still stood tall enough to make an empire bow. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe now for more emotional Afro-Korean romance, Black Waitress love stories, Korean Mafia CEOs, revenge, betrayal, and forbidden love. Like this video and comment Naya owned the room if you stayed until the end. And tell me, should the next story be about a black waitress who saves a Korean billionaire's lost daughter, or a black waitress who witnesses a mafia murder and becomes the boss's obsession?